Matt Briggs is, are you okay if I call you an expert? You really know your stuff on Bitcoin.
I would not consider myself an expert. I'm more of an avid enthusiast.
Okay, well,
I gotta change that here.
All right, I like that. By
also,
the way,
not a financial advisor.
Not a financial advisor. Let's clear all that up. Okay, I will tell you that I have, for about 3 years now, have been paying my daughter's allowance in Bitcoin and just assuming it was just going to go away. Now I'm screwed. It's really bad. So she's very wealthy. She runs the household. Yes. Okay, so when did you get into? Let's start. Bitcoin is an invention, right?
It's a computer program.
It's a computer program
built off blockchain technology.
And it's an algorithm.
Yes. Basically, if you think about it, it's a distributed trust network.
Okay.
Okay. So we use.
Is it like an IOU?
No.
No.
It's not like an IOU.
Not at all. Get close to the microphone if you could. Yeah. If you can just pull your chair in just a little bit. I know it's hard. The studio is set up for people with long necks, which is no one, by the way. Anyway.
We use trusted third parties to validate transactions. Banks, Visa, PayPal, any of those things that we rely on to make sure our transactions are safe, secure, and valid.
Right.
So blockchain replaces the third party with a computer program, and it's a distributed network so that there's no power structure. It's completely flat.
It's open source.
Open source.
Which means, I've never really known what that means, but correct me if I'm wrong, it's just what it sounds like. It's code that is open for everyone to see?
And access and manipulate, change, modify.
Well, is that good?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay.
So
you couldn't hack that then?
You could change it. So you might have heard of Bitcoin forks, where some group says, hey, we want this feature in the program.
Okay.
They make some adjustments to the code, and they try to run it. And it's like pure democracy. Whoever gets more support gets to basically keep the Bitcoin name, and then the other group is Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin Gold.
So how do you keep the evil empire from taking over?
There's no...
there's no prevention from that.
There isn't. They could throw a ton of money at this, but when they do, that just gives it support. I mean, if they use it, it gives everyone else that's using it more, power and themselves.
Okay.
I was talking with a buddy of mine this past weekend or late last week, and he had told me that you can almost, if you invest in other types of coins, you can also kind of bet against one of the other. So, for instance, you'll bet against Bitcoin in hopes that it will lose value and then will also increase the value of the other coins?
There's a lot of, I've been doing it for a few months now with actually investing in it, and there is a lot of correlation between if Bitcoin is going up, a lot of the other coins are going down because people are taking money out of the other coins because they want to ride that wave.
Is Bitcoin reached its peak? No.
Not even close.
Not even close.
Not even.
So if you were to buy into Bitcoin right now, who do you think is the strongest? Who's the best shot at making it?
Well, there's going to be many. It's going to be like Apple, Microsoft, Google. There's going to be a lot that do fall away, but there's going to be 5 or 6, maybe even 50 that are long-term winners.
How long before, like, an Apple Pay says, okay, we're going to allow for Bitcoin? Will that happen?
2 years, 1 year.
2 years, 1 year. Okay.
Amazon is
same thing.
Yeah, they'll be 20.
I would imagine that Amazon is just chomping at the bit right now, waiting to.
There's a lot of money going into it. The market cap right now with Bitcoin is $300 billion, which is more than like GE. It's almost half of Apple. I mean, there's a ton of money.
And I can't imagine the money that these companies are going to be worth on top of their profits, but if they're getting into Bitcoin, how much the companies are going to be worth.
Yet Bitcoin itself has there are no payouts to corporate, none of that.
Nothing.
This is basically a computer program.
Yep. No ownership. Everyone owns it. Whoever joins in owns it.
I watched I watched a documentary that you had suggested, and boy, that was dark. Because he's talking to this guy who's an expert on all of this, who, by the way, says that he predicted the power of the internet back when everybody said it was just a fad, and now look at it today. But he believes that the Bitcoin is going to move so much faster than we've seen email, internet, all of this other technology, that within 10 years, Bitcoin he believes that within 10 years, Bitcoin is going to eliminate banks.
Do you want to know why I think he's probably right? With the other things, you had advantages over communication, which humans like to do. You had advantages over how you spend your time. Things are a little easier. This is money. People can make money getting into this. I mean, people like to make money a lot more than most other things. So adoption is going to be very fast.
So what would prevent, though, from... So here you are... Go ahead.
I'm sorry. But on that point that people might... It's because it's the hot thing now. I mean, you know, you could have made money 15 years ago investing in Thai Beanie Babies if you were reselling them. The idea that this is going to continue to increase in value... that's not necessarily a guaranteed thing, is it?
It's different than Beanie Babies in that it's a technology that allows me to send money value anywhere in the world instantly with no third party and a penny fee.
So think about this too. It's almost as if you were... I'm trying to wrap my head around this, and I'm very thick. It's almost as if you were able to buy things with stock. Would you say that's a somewhat of a comparison? So you invest money in stock, but you'd have to cash in your stock to be able to buy something.
Sure.
Whereas that is basically your stock, but it's also your currency.
It's a form of money.
Yeah.
It's an investment. It's also a technology. It's also a payment system. It's many things.
Yeah.
It's also a way to take power out of centralized third parties.
Okay, now I don't have to have seen too many of these movies, these dark movies, to know that when you try to take away from the power, there's pushback.
Sure. And I don't know what's going to happen. None of us do. The only thing I can think of is air is necessary for all of us to live, but nobody has wars or fights over air because it's free and it's everywhere. I feel like there's going to be some kicks and throws, but eventually it's just going to be, you can't stop people from breathing air and then charge them. Yeah. And it's going to be the same way. It's so free, easy to get your hands on. Anyone can do it. I mean, maybe not me or you or anyone over 40, but a 12-year-old, a 15-year-old probably can code this in a weekend in their basement and release it again.
Right. They're saying that if you were to shut them down, and this was happening in the beginning, governments would shut down these companies, if you will. Yeah. And that over the weekend, you know, they'd come up under a different name. And that is just anybody who would know how to write simple code could do it.
It's simple and elegant. That's what makes it powerful. This isn't super complex stuff. It's just really well thought out and well designed.
How does it get its value? So but it's funny because we've got to get past the dollar is backed by gold, right? But we don't really look at it that way anymore. Is it really backed by gold? I mean, governments print money all the time. That's where inflation comes from. Sure. So the question would be, we've been spending money for a long time without even thinking about gold. And you see the value go up and the value go down, the value of the dollar go up and down. So you have to look at it that way because there's really nothing backing this. So how does it get more valuable? Just by people who are getting in?
Well, so our dollar is backed not by gold for a very long time. And since it's been decoupled from gold, it's lost approximately 80% of its value. So the dollar is a depreciating asset, okay? One of my reasons to go into this is I'm taking money out of a depreciating asset and put it into an appreciating asset, so I'm double-edged sword. You know, money, cash, dollars by governments are only backed by the government. You know, ask Greece how their dollar is. Ask Venezuela how their dollar is. You know, do they trust Bitcoin more than that? You bet they do. There's people in Venezuela getting their hands on Bitcoin so they can buy stuff across the border and have it smuggled in like food. Well, they can do that now. They couldn't do that before.
Right. And the leading form of currency in the world is the dollar, the United States dollar. So what will this do to the dollar, the value of the dollar?
Well, the dollar is just going to keep going down. This may increase the rate of it going down. So, you know, the government You know, I don't know. They may print more. They've been printing a ton of it the last 10 years. Yeah. I don't really know how that's going to affect it. I think for a good while you're going to coexist with dollars and cryptocurrencies.
Right, because it seems like you could take your Bitcoin. So you got into Bitcoin, and now it's worth, what, 3,000 times the original value, even more than that.
Right.
So you could then cash your Bitcoins in and get American dollars.
And there's going to be people that are doing that to buy jet skis and boats and yachts and whatever.
But at some point, that jet ski is going to accept Bitcoin. When that happens, you won't need to cash it in.
Correct.
That's where this becomes even more valuable.
Yeah, and
you can buy, by the way, using Bitcoin. I think you can buy your meal at Ocean Blue.
Yes, you can, and I was the first.
You were the first to do it. That's really cool.
That is.
There might be a trivia question there.
Can I ask?
Let me bring Ernest in because he's waiting, and then you can get in. Ernest has a question for a guy, Matt Briggs, who says he's not an expert, but certainly would be considered someone who knows what he's talking about based on enthusiasm. So, Ernest, go ahead.
Oh, good morning. I'm just curious his opinion on this Ripple. I've been reading a little bit about it, and it seems like it's a vehicle that the banks are really, really very interested in getting on board with. And I just wanted to know what his take was on that.
All right, I'll hang up and let you listen on the air. Do you know what he's talking about? All right.
So I don't love Ripple as a purist because Ripple is the banks getting involved in cryptocurrency.
So that is their version.
They're tied to it. You know, it does still. And again, I don't understand the depth of it, but I know that the banks are into it. That's tied to them. There's banks that are signing on to it and using it as a means to, again, retain some of their power, I believe. I don't know how long that power lasts, and the price of Ripple may go up. So as a short-term investment, it may be good. It's not one of the 50 that I hope make it out of this.
Right. You had a question. I'm sorry.
When you say there's one of the 50, there's that many cryptocurrencies.
Several thousand.
So here's where I get confused. If when we talk about money is backed by gold, or whether it is or not, it doesn't matter. So let's say there's Jeff Coin, okay, and all these people are buying Jeff Coin, right? But then the government shuts me down. I reemerge as something else. But what happens to all those coins? Are those?
Is it like a company going bankrupt and you lose everything?
Yeah.
What government shuts you down where and how?
Well, so the documentary I saw, there was the guy in New York City who, let me try to make this simple. You said sometimes these get shut down, and over the course of a weekend they reemerge as something else.
And that some might not survive. It'll be survival of the fittest here. So what happens to the ones, is that your question? Because I'm concerned about that. So I invest in Bitcoin, and they're telling you now, Bitcoin might not be the one that survives. And if that happens, what happens to my investment? It's just not worth anything?
If you don't put measures in place to protect yourself, it's just like any other investment. It's just like buying the famous tulips, the tulip bulbs that skyrocketed and then went to zero. There's advanced trading features on several platforms where you can put sell orders. So as it's going up, you just keep adjusting your sell order. It's at 20,000. If it goes to 15, sell all my Bitcoin. And that way you protect yourself against a crash. I mean, there's mechanisms like that to protect yourself.
What do you do for a living, by the way?
I'm an insurance agent. Okay.
So, I mean, you are there any regulations? Could you start buying and trading, buying and selling for somebody? I don't know if there's any regulation that would prevent you from doing that.
I don't think there is any yet, but on principle, I probably wouldn't do it.
Right.
Just because this is definitely a risky Wild West type stuff. You know, I say the more you can invest would be the more that you believe and understand the technology.
Yeah.
So somebody that doesn't know anything, put $100 in maybe. You know, put something that you're very comfortable losing, like a dinner or something. The more you understand the technology, maybe you start leveraging a little bit more of your fungible assets into this. There was two altcoins that I read about overnight were 10,000% gainers. I mean, there's serious investment opportunities out there.
So you put $300 in, and overnight you just multiplied that by 10,000.
If you sell it.
If you sell it. Now here's Mario saying, I have 18 cents in Bitcoin, so 0.18% of a Bitcoin. He said I won't sell it for anything because it continues to grow in value. Hold on to them because it will only go up. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah. It definitely, for the next 10 years, Bitcoin, I mean, it's going to go up and down.
Yeah.
But the trend will continue to rise.
And it says it will keep gaining value as long as users are using it.
As long as people want to buy it. There's
Right.
only 21 million Bitcoins that will ever exist. It's limited by the program.
But once it reaches a certain value, let's say it stays at that value, you now have buying power with that.
Sure. If it stabilizes, sure.
If it
then,
stabilizes.
Now people feel safe spending it because in a year it hasn't gone up 30% or 50%.
And then let's say I were to purchase it at I'm buying my meal at Ocean Blue. What is there a currency exchange that automatically calculates that you go to Canada, they have the exchange rate. I realize that when there's certain times where it's a good time to buy in Canada.
Yeah, so it's all done with computers and apps. Basically I just hit. He put the order into their phone and put the price in U.S. dollars. Hit convert. It converts. It gives you a QR code. I hit send. I scan it. Boom.
Done.
Accept. Transfer. Paid.
Interesting.
Were you able to tip?
Yep.
Okay.
What percent? I'm just kidding. If I wanted to buy a Bitcoin, like right now, where would I go do that? Do I have to download an app? Explain that.
Yeah,
for
I'm going to wrap this up at this point. So let's get to that point. How can someone get in?
The easiest place to get in is Coinbase. It's an app. It's a website. It's the easiest place to convert U.S. dollars into Bitcoin. There's many places. I mean, you could buy Bitcoin off me or anyone, or you can find places on the internet to buy them. But the safest places right now are exchanges, which Coinbase is one.
Which, by the way, I had someone invite me to join Coinbase.
Yep.
They receive a certain perk.
I think $10.
$10
worth of Bitcoin, and you both receive a $10.
Okay.
So, it's full. Coinbase is fully insured. So if somebody does manage to hack their database and steal all the Bitcoins. So the program is not hackable, Bitcoin. But somebody could hack a third party like Coinbase.
Yeah.
Okay, we still have third parties, and steal your money. So Coinbase is fully insured. It's a nice one to start off in. You just go in, set up an account. You got to give them ID. It's really secure. You take a picture of your ID. You link it to a debit card or a bank account, and after verification, you can.
I haven't heard anybody say that this is the big scam. This is the thing you're going to have your identity stolen and lose everything. I haven't heard anybody say that. Everybody's saying that the only danger in this is the danger that it's that governments are going to look and say, "Wow, our currency doesn't have the value that this has," and currency is power, right? The amount of money that you have. Everybody is saying the same thing. This is just going to gain in value.
Yeah, governments are behind the eight ball. They're going to be scrambling over the next couple of years.
How did you? By the way, how did you? And this comes at an interesting time when there's such a curve. It's like a cliff. The wealthiest in the world versus everybody else. This is really big for third world countries, places where think of the number of people in the world that don't have any access to a bank.
Yeah,
that number is really high once you get out of the United States.
6 million.
Yeah,
6 billion. Sorry, 6 billion. Billion-ish. Yeah. And that's great for everyone that's in it because 6 billion new people transacting through the system again, supply and demand. It's just going to make the values higher.
I don't want to sound stupid, but if in some of these third world countries people don't have access to a bank, do they have smartphones?
Yes,
they do.
Yes.
They don't have running water, but they have smartphones.
Android,
correct. Yeah. Phones are all over the place now.
We've made so many of them so cheaply. Like a 5-year-old phone is worth $1. I mean, people are just donate them to charities and they send them down. These people can get on the internet.
Yeah.
Their village might have a satellite link hub that somebody donated.
It's the word poverty no longer includes no cell phone.
Right.
And we see that even in our own communities, right?
Yeah.
People who are need to be on services, but boy, they have that phone. Interesting. Okay. By the way, since you got in, successful?
Oh, yeah, over 100% of my investment
back already.
Yep.
Okay.
3 months.
But you're tied up now. You can't do anything with it. You could.
I could take it out in one day.
You could, but you're not going to.
Oh, absolutely
not even touching it. So
for more info, 315 Crypto is a Facebook group. Really active. Everyone's very supportive.
Okay, cool.
Community's big in this because the more people we get in and using it, everyone wins. So again, this is like a cooperative effort. This is not trying to step on the guy next
And
to you.
one Bitcoin is worth what today?
Almost $20,000.
Almost $20,000. So it's gone up that much in a week. $5,000 in a week. So with that said, you could buy a Bitcoin spending $300, but you'd buy a percentage of that Bitcoin.
Yeah. So the cryptocurrencies are divisible by 100 million. You can spend 100 millionth of a Bitcoin, or buy 100 million.
Right.
So you got to, you know.
And your app, which that app again is
Coinbase.
Coinbase or the website.
Yep.
You can download that. That would do all that math for you.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Because I'm not good with that.
Thank you for coming in, man.
Okay, anytime.
How long is this taking for this to blow up like this? 6 months, a year, 2 weeks? How long?
Yeah, I would say 6 months that it's blown up. It's been around since
for 10 years,
2009, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
When it was $2 for one Bitcoin. How about that?
It was more. It was less than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
8 cents in 2010 for a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So
Think about it. If you got in when it was 8 cents,
$100 would be like 80 million or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you have it, people.